me, that was actually sent to me by a longtime subscriber of mine. So shout out to Russell H. Shout out to Russell H. for submitting this particular article, and it's about femcels. This is actually, looks like this dropped today. Looks like it dropped today. And so one of the quotes is like, I feel hurt that my life has ended up here. The women who are involuntary celibates. What is it like to go without a partner when you long for one, and when even a fleeting sexual connection feels impossible? So they would have us believe that there are actually women out here who can't get access to sex even if they wanted to. Well, let's continue to read, because I think I know where this is going. By Lizzie Cernick. So the article starts, when a woman named Alana coined the term incel in the late 90s, she couldn't have predicted the outcome. What started as a harmless website to connect lonely, involuntary celibate men and women has morphed into an underground movement associated with male violence and extreme misogyny. In 2014, Elliot Rodger stabbed and pew-pewed 6 people in California, blaming, quote, the girls, who had spurned him and condemned him to an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires. There have since been numerous attacks by people who identify with incel culture, including Jack Davison, who offed 5 people in Plymouth this summer before turning the gun on himself. In the darkest corners of the internet, incel groups have become a breeding ground for toxic male entitlement, putting them on hate crime watch lists across the UK. But it is not just incel men who struggle to find sexual connections in the modern world. Some young women are turning to online, quote, femcel spaces to discuss the challenges they face as involuntary celibates. Theirs is a non-violent resistance. Rather than blaming the opposite sex for their unhappiness, as some of their male counterparts do, femcels tend to believe that their own, quote, ugliness is the root cause of their loneliness. Posting anonymously on platforms they have designed for themselves, they argue that they are invisible due to their abnormal appearance, and that our beauty-centric, misogynistic culture prevents them from being accepted. There is anger and open grappling with self-esteem, but no extreme hatred and no sense of entitlement within the community. Let me go ahead and stop it right there. So, so these women are complaining. These women are complaining. Yes, Casual Germ on the YouTube site says misogyny. Appreciate that. Yeah, Daddy Dame, I know about Colin Powell. God, rest in peace, Colin Powell. So what this article would have us believe is that there are actually women out there who cannot get access to sex. They believe that their own, quote, ugliness is the root cause of their loneliness. Listen, man, there are no fat, ugly studs out there, but there are plenty of fat, ugly sluts. I have no idea why any getting laid for even overweight, ugly women is easier than breathing. There are enough thirsty dudes out here who smash these broads enough to give them access to sausage anytime they want to. This doesn't make sense to me. I think this article is 100% bullshit to an extent. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what kind of women are really the femcels. But the beauty-centric, misogynistic culture prevents them from being accepted. There's really no such thing as... Listen, there are some girls out there who are not so easy on the eyes. But they're not overweight or obese. And that's the difference. Any woman who is not overweight or obese has absolutely no problem finding male companionship, even temporarily. And we're going to open up the phone lines a little bit later, guys, so stand by. No, what they are not telling us, and what they sort of indirectly lied to us about. You see this woman here? See this woman here? Listen, judging by, I guess, cartoon standards, a woman who looks like this should have no problem getting laid. No problem getting laid at all. The only women that I can think of who cannot get laid as much as they want to are women who are morbidly obese. And even then, I hesitate to accept even that. Because on My 600-Pound Life on TLC, starring Dr. No, hey, how y'all doing? Every single 6, 7, 800-pound chick, well, most of them, they have boyfriends and husbands. It's insane. Like, we have these half-ton chicks who, they look absolutely, they look like Jabba the Hutt times 10, and they have boyfriends and husbands. Look, I have no idea. And look, man, people can say, well, they have boyfriends and husbands because they probably collect disability. That's fine. That's fine. Like, I can certainly accept that. But they still find companionship, right? They still find companionship. We have girls out here, big girls, 300 plus pounds, getting easily laid. No, the only women in the Western Hemisphere that has trouble getting laid are extremely morbidly obese women. That's it. That's it. Right there, it says there is an anger and open grappling with self-esteem. Yeah, guess what? If you and these women know why these men don't approach them. They know. They don't want to say it out loud, but they know. The reason why men don't approach them is because they're overweight. The article continues. Meanwhile, a far greater number of women would not describe themselves as femcels, but live unintentionally celibate lives. They share many of the femcels' concerns. Caitlin, 39, doesn't call herself a femcel, but she hasn't had sex for almost 8 years and doesn't think she will find another sexual partner. I'm not conventionally attractive, she says, and I never get approached by men. Why on God's green earth would a man not approach a 39-year-old woman? The only reason why a man would not approach a 39-year-old woman who's even half decent looking is because she is morbidly obese. Caitlin, who's 39 years old, is morbidly obese, and this is why men don't approach her. Simple math. They don't look at me. She says, I've had therapy to try to address these issues, but dating feels like a barren wasteland. It's worse, she continues, as I get older because I've missed that short window to marry and have a family. You see, she doesn't need to be in therapy. She needs to be in the goddamn gym, is what she needs to do. These morbidly obese women are doing everything they can to justify staying morbidly obese. Why don't men want me? Well, you know what? Let me go to therapy to try to deal with my self-esteem issues. Here's a thought. Hit the gym and watch what you eat and watch your self-esteem shoot through the roof. She never tells people that she is celibate because it makes her feel, quote, abnormal and inadequate. I feel a lot of anger and hurt that my life has ended up this way. I struggle to cope with the fact that I may never find a partner. Society makes it harder because after a certain age, people tend to pair off and form their own insular lives, and life gets lonely for single people. Oh boy. No. Listen, man, we have people. Listen, I found Dev when she was 39. I was 38, she was 39. Devin was this woman's age when Dev and I hooked up. And now we're in a long-term cohabitating relationship. If Devin were morbidly obese, I would never have given her the time of day, and Devin knows this. She tries to blame this on age. No, your age at this point, 39, yes, your options do become a little more limited. But the fact that you are morbidly obese, this is why she doesn't feel like she'll ever have a partner. She sees the writing on the wall. She just won't admit it. Although Caitlin is not morally opposed to casual sex, it's not an experience that feels right for her. Oh, good God, stop the cap. So she's not opposed to casual sex morally, but it's not an experience that feels right for her. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. If you can do it, you do it. That's it. So now she wants us to think that, well, one night stands don't feel right to me. This is the same thing as black men who say, white girls aren't special. I would never ever date a Becky. I don't find blonde-haired, blue-eyed blondes with ample breasts and heart-shaped asses attractive. Nah. Save that for the Chads and the Brads. No, the reason why they say that is because they know they can't have that. And so they act like they don't want it because they can't get it. It's the same as Kevin Ray Wilder and Cameron, whatever the fuck that knucklehead's name is. You're not supposed to kick your woman out of your... That's not how it's done. No, you're afraid to kick a woman out of your place if she disrespects you. You're afraid, but you don't want to admit that. So instead of just admitting, hey, you know what? I don't have the requisite experience to kick a bitch out of my place for disrespecting me. I'm going to act like it's not something I want to do. I could do it. I just choose not to because it's not the, quote, right thing to do. Well, that's what this is. Caitlin says that casual sex doesn't really feel right for her. What if she were a third of her size? Would it feel right to her then? It continues. She has had 2 short-term relationships which ended in heartbreak. There's a popular notion among incel communities and even in wider society that women are privileged because they can get sex at any time. Not only is that untrue, as many women will testify, but also, as Caitlin points out, not all sex is enjoyable. Generally, she says, men who aren't in a relationship with you don't make it a pleasurable experience, she says. The risk of rejection afterwards is high, which makes the sex even less enjoyable. As a woman, you want to be desired, not treated like a piece of meat. No, Caitlin. The reason why you're worried about the feeling of rejection is because you're morbidly obese. That's why you're worried about being rejected. Like, again, this is ridiculous. And listen, every woman wants to be objectified. Every woman wants to be desired. Every woman wants to be treated like a piece of meat in bed. So, again, she's using the kind of language, well, I would rather just be celibate than to be treated like a piece of meat. That's the biggest, that is all cap. If given the choice between being celibate and being treated like a piece of meat, women would choose the latter 10 times more than the former. Fuck out of here with that. Caitlin is aware that men also struggle with self-esteem issues linked to appearance, but believes the pressure is greater for women. Well, yes, it is. I'm not especially drawn to someone's looks or height, she says. Stop the cap. I prefer to get to know someone and develop an attraction. But if I feel that a man who didn't find me attractive straight away would never learn to become attracted to me. I see lots of beautiful women dating men who aren't good looking, but rarely the other way around. Men have many more ways to attract a partner than looks. Herein lies the issue. This is another, and listen, I'm not the guy who's gonna complain that all a female has to do is just not get fat. Right? We have many more ways to attract a partner than looks, but women are attracted to far more than looks. For us, a woman just has to look good and just really be nice. For women, you got to look good, smell good, you got to be tall, you got to have a great job, you got to be confident. With some of today's women's checklists, some checklists are so long, if you don't tick off one of those boxes, she's on to the next dude. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and complain that men have it tougher in the sexual marketplace. It is what it is. We're designed to handle rejection a lot better than women. We're the pursuers. Women are the pursued. It is what it is. But for her to complain about the fact that men have more ways to attract a partner than looks, that's not an excuse. All you have to do is not get fat. That's it. Dude, there are women out here who aren't so easy on the eyes. They have a drinking problem. They have an attitude problem. They smoke. No problem getting men to commit to them. Now, these men would be low value, low quality men, but it's better than nothing, right? Appearance-based discrimination, it continues, termed looksism by femcel communities, is not the only reason that some women struggle to find a sexual partner. Here we go. The risk of male violence has always been a concern, But the semi-anonymous nature of app-based dating has increased those fears for many women. Jane, 49, who's been single for 8 years and celibate for 5. Although she would love a sex life, she is not prepared to compromise her principles by seeking a casual relationship with someone she just met online. I don't want to invite someone I don't know into my home, as you never know the risks. Then how about meeting somewhere else, Jane? Did you ever think of that? Honestly, what kind of a bullshit excuse is this? Well, why don't you date? Well, I mean, I don't like online dating because, well, I don't want to invite someone back to my home. Sweetheart, there are many other places you can meet up for a date other than your house that happens to be in public. No, this is a bullshit excuse designed to circumvent the rejection. You don't want to invite someone back to you don't get the opportunities to invite someone back to your home because men aren't swiping right on you. You're morbidly obese. This is why men don't want to be with you. It's ridiculous. Let me go back to this this paragraph here. The terms looksism by femcel communities isn't the only reason women struggle to find a sexual partner. Guys, I have said this. Well, actually, this is shout out to Rollo Tomasi. This actually happens to be law number 43 of the 49 laws of Sharp. Take a look and listen. Law 43. Sexual attraction is non-negotiable. Rollo Tomasi. Men who sit around bitching and complaining about the fact that women are more attracted to degenerate cheaters who treat them like shit than they are to responsible men who treat them like ladies simply do not understand the stark reality that attraction cannot be negotiated. This is a feminine activity, as women are constantly trying to tell men that we should be sexually attracted to women who are overweight. It would behoove a man to improve himself in ways he has control over so as to increase his opportunities with women rather than wasting time bellyaching about what women should be attracted to. Sexual attraction cannot be negotiated, gentlemen, no matter how much you want it to be. It's so funny. They always dismiss what male incels talk about, but we're supposed to take these femcels seriously? Like we're supposed... Unbelievable. So then they go and talk about safety concerns and blah, 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 blah. Now, let's go down here. This woman on your screen, this woman, her name is... Hang on a second. Her name is Katie Piper. Now, Katie Piper, it says, is building an online community for people who don't fit beauty stereotypes. Right now, who is Katie Piper? Well, I did some digging around. Katie Piper, as you guys can see, according to Wikipedia, she is an English writer, activist, television presenter, and model from Andover, Hampshire. In March of 2008, she was attacked with acid by her ex-boyfriend and an accomplice, causing major damage to her face and blindness in one eye. Piper underwent pioneering surgery to restore her face and vision. Both attackers were convicted and given life sentences. In 2018, one of the attackers was released after serving 9 years in prison. In 2009, Piper gave up her right to anonymity in order to increase awareness about burn victims. Her experience was documented in the 2009 Channel 4 documentary, Katie, My Beautiful Face, part of the Cutting Edge series, and has subsequently been sold internationally. So yeah, that's what she does, right? So she was attacked. She was attacked in 2008, right? And I've seen some of the pictures of her after. And you guys can see, if you guys look at her picture closely, I mean, she's got on, her makeup artist is good, but you guys can see, if you look at her right eye is clearly not normal. Pardon me. Her right eye, or left eye rather, is clearly not normal. You guys can see that she's got some makeup on to cover up her burned face. And listen, I would not wish that on my worst enemy. Like, I'm serious. I would not wish that on anybody. And I did the research. The guy that she was with, he was a psycho and all that, and he's still in prison, and good for that. But something that's very interesting here is that it says she's married. Her spouse's name is Richard Sutton. They were married back in 2015. So let me get this straight. So she's attacked in March of 2008. 7 years after she gets her face literally melted off, she gets married, and now she has 2 children. Yet, they want to, in this article, they want to compare Katie Piper to these other women. Now, in looking at this picture, looking at Katie Piper's picture, let me just do a quick Google search here, because I want to point something out here. And this might be obvious, but just stay with me. I don't want to be all, yeah, so that's Katie Piper. What do you guys notice about Katie Piper? She's now married. She has 2 children. Clearly, she was a victim. She was a burn victim, and it looks like she came out pretty damn good. Right? Yeah, her chest was messed up. I mean, she really, really, really went through the ringer, yet she's married with 2 children. What do you notice about Katie Piper? That's right, gentlemen. Katie Piper is not morbidly obese. Katie Piper is not even overweight. And so this goes to show that even when you are a massive burn victim, even as a burn victim, your face melted off by acid, guess what? There are still men out there who are willing to wife you. There is absolutely no excuse for a woman not to be sexually attractive in this day and age. I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. Dude, Katie Piper got her face melted off. She's married with 2 kids. Yet, we've got all these butthurt bitches in here, Jane and Caitlin, feeling sorry for themselves because men won't look their way. Well, what they're not telling us is that these women in these Femcel communities, they are morbidly obese. That's all this is. That's all this is. All a woman has to do is not get fat, and the world is her oyster. It's not even 18 to 28 anymore. If you can stay sexually attractive, you can still find, I guess, a decent guy well into your 40s. But that would take discipline, right? That would take you actually doing something. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.